Topeka at the time when I was growing up was segregated in many ways. But I think it also provided us an opportunity to develop some resolve that was necessary to be able to survive and be productive in that environment.
He came from humble beginnings at a time when there were remarkable barriers.
He had to fight for everything that he earned, but he was not derailed, and he didn't let it become a negative for him.
Well, I had no black classmates. I was the only African American in my graduating class. I always had the feeling that I could accomplish anything that anyone else could.
Education in the United States is rationed by race. And so we need to use our privilege to create access and opportunity, much like John Slaughter did for me.
In 1975, the School of Engineering started the MEP program, or Minority Engineering Program.
We use the MEP students as mentors and role models for the students in our pre-college program. I think at its max, we were working with 25 schools and roughly 1,000, 1,500 students a year.
So this was actually ahead of its time, particularly to do a lot of K-12 outreach so that they will be able to then create a pipeline of students at USC Engineering.
I received a phone call. This is the White House, and would you hold for President Carter?
It was a tremendous, tremendous moment when he was named the head of the NSF.
It was essentially one of those things where, did you hear that the head of the NSF is black? That's what it was. It was one of those instrumental things where you go, wow, somebody made it.
Seeing John as the head of NSF was an inspirational moment for many of us. As the first African-American director of the NSF, he made us dream even bigger about what was possible.
He is only the third African-American to be elected to the NAE. Up to that time when they've elected over 1,000 members. So you can imagine the hill he had to climb.
I became the chancellor of the University of Maryland in November 1982.
And he was the first African-American chancellor of this university, the flagship university of the University of Maryland, and he was the first engineer. He helped me to follow in his own footsteps to be the president now of the University of Maryland for the last 3 years.
As the program grew and as the importance of the program grew, we took over a house that was on the corner. The kids always referred to it as the Blue House, and it became the center for everything.
Our offices were in that house, and the student organizations, SHIP, NSPE, SWE, had the offices in that house.
The students, if you ever hear them talking about their experience, they glow. Many of them describe it as a home away from home.
And this was long before DEI became a thing. Viterbi had led the way in creating this space here on campus.
I became president of Occidental College in 1988.
He came to a small liberal arts college, thriving academically, but not diverse at all.
Los Angeles is a city of a tremendous amount of rich diversity, and for an institution to be in the middle of it, as Occidental College is, and not be more representative of that, seemed incongruous.
If you ask academic leaders, deans, provost presidents of universities, they will say John Slaughter made a difference in the way they viewed things.
In 2 years' time after I became president, we were named by U.S. News and World Report as the most diverse liberal arts college in America.
In the 90s, you had a new generation of students who were coming in, and they didn't necessarily want to be identified as minority engineers.
And so I took it to the students. I asked them, what would you guys like your program to be called? And the students actually came up with the Center for Engineering Diversity.
By talking about the Center for Engineering Diversity, we were able to not only engage with students of color, but also with girls, with people from the LGBTQ community.
When I went to NACME, I was very concerned about the fact that we waited too late to get students interested in engineering. And so we established a pre-engineering program.
Dr. Slaughter was enabling people like me who were underrepresented minorities to literally have an opportunity to pay for college and go get an education.
Once the school was named and we started getting very cool and new buildings, it created its own culture.
When I started in 2005, the center had just moved into our new home of Ronald Tudor Hall.
Not only did we recruit underrepresented students, but there was a big push to recruit more women into engineering.
I think CED was the place where I could go and I could see other women, and we could have honest conversations about what that experience was like. Viterbi was doing things 15, 20 years ago that schools around the country are just now starting to really embrace.
When I retired from NACME, I met with Dean Yortzos of the Viterbi School of Engineering, and before I left the meeting, he had offered me a tenured position.
When he came here, he immediately got involved with CED.
We reviewed the Center of Engineering Diversity. He made some very clear recommendations on how to move it to the next level.
With leadership like Dean Yortzos, we have a great opportunity to create one of the most outstanding institutions in the country.
I could think of no better person in whose honor to name the Center for Engineering Diversity than John B. Slaughter.
There couldn't be anybody else to name it after.
My hope is that every single time anyone sees his name, it will lift our students' spirits. It will teach everyone that they too can be a champion for diversity in all fields, from the arts to engineering, and champions for the future.
It's perhaps the greatest honor that I think I have ever received. I just hope that it's something that will inspire young people for a long time.
His association of his name here with the Viterbi School of Engineering is a treasure for us. And I think we will value this for many, many years to come.
When you see someone like Dr. Slaughter and you understand all of the adversity and the obstacles he overcame, it continues to inspire me to say this is nothing compared to those who came before me.
I would say to students today, don't be discouraged. Yes, you don't always succeed the first time out. But what John Slaughter shows is you just keep swinging.
We should be inspired by that example and know that we have personal resources. That's what John shows us.
Don't take no from a counselor. Don't let anyone stop you if that's something you want to do.
The biggest thing that I've found is really the grit and the determination, right? I think that's what's really helped me push through really tough times.
You fail at 100% of the chances you don't take. And so taking those chances and putting yourself out there is incredibly important.
I would say to students watching this that they can stand in their identities, whatever they may be, racial identities, gender identities, and be all of that and be an engineer.
We want you to be successful. We don't practice weeding people out. We don't do that. What we build is a community of collaboration designed for success.
We like to encourage people to be excellent, but we want to help people reach that excellence.
We're here for you. That's why we're here, is for you to succeed. And we want you to be a Trojan for life.
If I ran into a barrier, it just strengthened my commitment to overcoming it, to prove to people that I was as good as anyone else.